Amateur Radio Winter Field Day is an annual communications exercise held on the last full weekend of January. The event is designed to help amateur radio operators practice emergency communications in harsh winter environments. While it involves scoring points, the Winter Field Day Association classifies it as an operating event or exercise rather than a strict contest. Its core goals include practicing station deployment during freezing temperatures, snow, and ice conditions likely during real disasters, testing equipment, antennas, and operating abilities away from permanent home stations, introducing the hobby to the general public through open house style events at various club locations. Amateur Radio Winter Field Day is like a camping trip with a purpose for radio hobbyists. Imagine a community of thousands across the world setting up temporary radio stations in the middle of winter to see if they can communicate when traditional systems like cell towers or the internet fail. The core concept is when all other modes of communications fail, the message still must get delivered. The event is built around the idea of emergency preparedness. In a real natural disaster, power grids often go down. Amateur radio operators use this weekend to prove that they can deploy quickly, set up antennas and radios in remote parks, tents, or even snowy backyards, go off-grid, run their equipment entirely on batteries, solar panels, or generators instead of wall outlets, battle the elements, practice operating in freezing temperatures, ice, and wind conditions that make typical tasks much harder. For someone who isn't a radio operator, this is a chance to see vital backup communication systems in action. Many local clubs host open houses where you can visit, see the gear, and sometimes even talk on the radio yourself under the supervision of a licensed operator. I usually choose to operate this event with only 5 watts. What makes operating with 5 watts a challenge? Think about how little power 5 watts is. A single incandescent light bulb in your house is probably 60 watts. 5 watts won't even make that light glow. Operating with 5 watts is called QRP. Operating as a QRP station involves using low power equipment to make radio contacts. For Winter Field Day, a QRP station is defined as one transmitting with 5 watts or less for CW digital or 10 watts or less for voice. Low power radios are typically small enough to fit in a backpack or even an Altoids tin, making them ideal for the field aspect of the event. Because they consume very little power, these radios can run for an entire weekend on a small battery or solar panel. There are a lot of difficulties experienced with running so little power. Operating QRP is often called the ultimate challenge, because you are essentially whispering in a room full of people shouting. You will frequently be stomped on or drowned out by stations running up to 1500 watts. Your signal might be so weak that it is lost in the background noise of the receiving station. WinLink is a global system that allows people to send and receive standard emails using radio waves instead of the internet or cell service. If the internet goes down due to a storm or power outage, a WinLink user can still send an email from their laptop to a friend's Gmail account using only a radio and an antenna. Instead of connecting to Wi-Fi in your home or a public space, the laptop is connected to a radio. Typing an email is just like in Outlook or Gmail. When the operator hits send, the software converts the text into sound, which sounds like a series of chirps and whistles, and broadcasts it over the air. A radio message server, which is a gateway located hundreds or even thousands of miles away where the internet is still working, picks up the radio signal. That gateway takes your message and injects it into the regular internet so it can reach the recipient's standard email inbox. It is a vital tool for the Red Cross and emergency services to send lists of supplies or safe and well messages when local infrastructure is destroyed. Sailors in the middle of the ocean or hikers in remote mountains use it to stay in touch with family without expensive satellite subscriptions. Unlike voice radio, where messages can be misheard, WinLink ensures the recipient gets the exact text and even attachments like small photos or weather maps. Because it uses amateur radio frequencies, privacy is not guaranteed. By law, transmissions cannot be encrypted, and other radio operators are allowed to listen in on the digital data as it travels through the air. JS8 Call is a digital communications mode that allows amateur radio operators to have text-based chat conversations even when signals are so weak they are completely inaudible to the human ear. It can decode messages buried deep in background noise, making it perfect for low-power stations or poor atmospheric conditions. Unlike some other weak signal modes that only exchange call signs and locations, JS8 Call lets you type back and forth in real time, similar to a slow version of Instant Messenger. JS8 Call allows networking and relaying. If a station can't be reached directly, another station can relay your message for you. Leaving your station on auto to act as a mailbox allows others to leave messages for you to read when you return. Because JS8 Call excels in getting a signal through despite heavy interference or low power, it is a favorite for off-grid emergency practice. Operators use it to send status updates from remote snowy campsites where voice communication might fail due to noise or distance. The main drawback is speed. Because it prioritizes reliability over speed, it is much slower than typical typing. Depending on the mode you choose, it can range from roughly 8 to up to 40 words per minute. 10 meters to California, LAX. Straight to the ladder. Snow coming down. See if we can find anybody else. PSK-31, which is short for Phase Shift Keen 31 baud, is one of the most popular digital modes in amateur radio. It allows operators to have a live keyboard-to-keyboard conversation using a computer and a radio. If you've ever used an old-school instant messenger, PSK-31 feels exactly like that, but the data travels through the airwaves rather than the internet. When a message is typed, the computer software converts the text into a distinct warbling sound. If listened to on a speaker, it sounds like a continuous high-pitched whistle with tiny fluctuations. The phase shift part of the name refers to how the radio wave is manipulated to represent data. The wave's phase flips back and forth to indicate the ones and zeros of your text. The 31 stands for the speed, 31.25 baud. This is roughly 50 words per minute, which is about the speed of a person typing at a steady natural pace. A PSK-31 signal is incredibly thin at only 31 Hz wide. You can fit dozens of PSK-31 conversations into the same space on the radio dial that just one voice conversation would take up. Because the signal is so narrow, the radio's energy is concentrated into a very small pipe. This allows communications across oceans using very little power, often just 25 watts or less. Unlike more automated modes, PSK31 is conversational. You see the letters appear on your screen as the other person types them, including their typos and corrections. Operators find PSK31 signals using a visual display called a waterfall. On the screen, a PSK31 signal looks like a vertical pair of glowing blue or yellow lines, sometimes called railroad tracks. They scroll down the screen from top to bottom. When you see those tracks, you click on it and have the software start reading the text. While newer modes like JS8 call have become popular, many traditionalists still use PSK31 during winter field day because it is faster for a quick chat and requires very little battery power, which is critical in freezing conditions. VARA HF and its chat-focused version, VARA AC, is a modern software modem that allows amateur radio operators to send data at incredibly fast speeds. In the world of radio, where most modes feel like an old dial-up connection, VARA is the equivalent of broadband. VARA AC is the specific application people use to have real-time chat conversations, similar to a modern chat app like WhatsApp or Slack, but entirely over the radio. The VARA engine is a background program, a modem, that does the heavy lifting. It uses complex math to pack as much data as possible into a radio signal. The AC interface is the chat screen where operators type. It connects to the VARA engine to send text and small files across the airwaves. What makes VARA special is that it is adaptive. If the weather or atmosphere is clear, it speeds up to its maximum setting. If a storm rolls in and the signal gets weak, it automatically slows down to ensure your message still gets through without errors. VARA has become the standard for emergency communications and modern hobbyists for several reasons. It is significantly faster than older modes like PSK31 or JS8 call. It can even handle sending files or photos relatively quickly. On most radio bands, there is one specific frequency where VARA AC users hang out. You can ping the frequency to see who's available and connect to them directly for private conversation. There is also the option to broadcast a message to all stations on the calling frequency. Operators can type back and forth in real time, much like an instant messenger service, complete with a typing indicator to see when the other person is responding. It uses the automatic repeat request protocol to ensure messages are received with 100% accuracy, resending any missed data packets due to static or noise. VARA AC is significantly faster than older modes and supports the transfer of various file types, including images, documents, and ICS forms, which is vital for emergency communications. The software can transform an amateur radio station into an email gateway, allowing users in disaster areas without internet access to send messages to standard internet email addresses. Operators can leave an email-like message, vmail, for another operator who is offline. The message will be automatically forwarded once their station comes online or via a relay station. VARA AC can control your radio, automatically tuning to specific calling frequencies, moving to slots for private conversations, and returning to the calling frequency when finished. It automatically sends beacons to let others know you're on the air and integrates with PSK Reporter website to show your signal's propagation on a global map. A dedicated interface that streamlines the software for emergency use, hiding non-essential features and prioritizing critical communication tools like pre-formatted templates and group broadcasts. The software can automatically log all your contacts to an ADIF file which is the standard amateur radio log format, and interface with popular logging programs. Morse code is a way of turning text into a series of short and long signals that can be heard, seen, or felt. It was the first digital language, invented in the 1830s to send messages over telegraph wires long before human voices could be transmitted. Instead of using complex sounds, Morse code only uses 2 bits of information: the dot, known as a dit, which is very short, quick pulse, and the dash, known as da, which is a longer pulse that lasts exactly 3 times as long as a dot. Every letter in the alphabet is assigned a unique combination of these dits and das. For example, the most common letter in English, E, is just 1 single dot, while T is 1 single dash. Although it is no longer required for amateur radio license in the U.S., Morse code remains highly popular among hobbyists for several practical reasons. A Morse signal is incredibly narrow. It can cut through heavy static and interference that would make a voice conversation impossible to understand. It is the best mode for QRP operation. All the radio's energy is concentrated into a simple on-off tone, talking to someone on the other side of the world using less power than a standard light bulb. Many international operators use standard Morse code Q codes to communicate even if they don't speak the same native language. In Winter Field Day 2026, broadcast bulletins serve as a practical test of an operator's ability to accurately receive and record critical information under field conditions. The bulletins simulate real-world emergency scenarios where a central authority might broadcast vital instructions or situation reports to remote stations. Bulletins provide a standardized way to prove you can successfully copy, write down, or decode a message sent over the air. Bulletins are transmitted using various modes, including voice, Morse code, and digital modes, requiring operators to be versatile in their equipment setup. For 2026, bulletins are broadcast at specific times throughout the weekend from multiple locations, including Alabama, Wisconsin, California, and Ireland. The message must be recorded, and the exact text of the message pasted into the designated field when you submit results to the Winter Field Day Association. Beyond the points, this practice prepares operators to relay emergency traffic, such as supply lists or GPS coordinates, accurately during a real disaster. Using error-correcting modes forces retries until an error-free message is received. Most bulletins are not sent in this way unless a direct connection can be made between 2 radios. Broadcasting is just a one-way transmission. A successful Winter Field Day event is measured by how well a station demonstrates emergency readiness while operating under the harsh conditions of January. Success is not just a high score, it is a combination of technical execution, survival skills, and team coordination. A successful operation begins with deploying a station from scratch in a temporary location, such as a remote park, cabin, or tent. Running 100% on alternative power, batteries, solar, or generators, without touching the commercial grid is a primary success metric. Proving gear and operators can function in sub-freezing temperatures, wind, and snow is the ultimate test of the event. Successful stations operate on multiple bands, HF, VHF, UHF, and above, and use at least 2 modes, voice, CW, or digital, to show they can communicate regardless of atmospheric conditions. Rather than just making many contacts, top-tier stations focused on objective multipliers. A high-performing 2026 event includes broadband coverage, making at least 3 contacts on 6 or 12 different bands for significant multipliers. Low power QRP, operating at 5 watts digital CW or 10 watts on voice to earn a 2 times multiplier while proving signal efficiency. Continuous operation, maintaining an active station for at least 6 continuous hours to simulate a long-duration emergency shift.
Can't find it anywhere.
Success also involves completing specific emergency-related tasks. Accurately receiving and logging the official Winter Field Day special bulletin sent via radio during the event. Successfully sending and receiving a WinLink email or using JS8 call via AC to transmit data without the internet. Establishing at least one contact via an amateur radio satellite. Finally, a truly successful event ends with 0 safety incidents, avoiding frostbite, carbon monoxide from generators or antenna falls, and high team morale. Many clubs use the weekend to mentor new hams, giving them hands-on experience in a supportive, low-pressure environment.
Finally found it.
If you were unable to do Winter Field Day in 2026, we hope to hear or see you on the air in 2027. Well, this is how we ended. It's 5 degrees at 7 o'clock at night. And we tried, but we didn't get anything on 70 centimeters. But everything survived. No real problems. And the 993 did the hard work, and jumper cables did the rest.